Water quality today! Woo! Once upon a time, there was a creek in a faraway region called Northwest Ohio. In this region lived a macroinvertebrate named Miranda. She was just a small-town midgefly living in a lonely creek. One day, she decided to explore the depths of her home. She began planning her journey by first looking at the watershed, or area of land that separates waters flowing to different rivers, basins, or seas of her home. Miranda did some research and found that the Ottawa River watershed is located in northwestern Ohio along the Michigan-Ohio border, and that a river branch rising in Fulton County, Ohio, is called the 10-Mile Creek. This is where she lives and will be traveling. Eventually, she ended up in the town of Sylvania, Ohio. It was a cold, windy day, and the current was slow-moving. As she was floating down the river, she ran into a bit of trouble and was trapped in a strange device called a hesterdundy. At first, she was scared, but later she came to find that there were many other macroinvertebrates there to accompany her. She was so excited and so curious all at once. She asked them many questions such as where she was, who had trapped them, and what they were doing.
Where am I? Who did this to us?
Hi, I'm Barry the Blackfly. We're in a hesterdundy and those are giants.
Well, they're actually high school students, and they are testing the water quality of the 10-Mile Creek.
Whoa. What's a hesterdundy?
A hesterdundy is a device that people use to examine all types of macroinvertebrates in the water. They do this to see how polluted the water is.
Well, what did they find?
Organisms in Group 1 are pollution sensitive and usually found in good quality water. Organisms in Group 2 are somewhat pollution tolerant and can be found in good or fair quality water. Lastly, Group 3 consists of pollutant tolerant organisms that can be in any quality of water. Miranda saw organisms from all three groups.
The water temperature upstream was roughly 20 degrees Celsius and downstream was 19 degrees Celsius. Therefore, the difference of the creek from the left side of the hill to the bridge is 1 degree and has a Q value of 88.
The cause of the temperature is the season, location, shade from the sun, and the depth of the creek.
And this impacts the species that thrive in the creek, like us.
So if you can make the shading consistent, you can affect the water temperature difference?
Somewhat, but there isn't too much you can do about the water temperature.
Next thing they tested was turbidity, which is the clearness of the water.
The turbidity of the creek has an average depth of 0.9425 meters, which has a Q value of 76.
This is caused by rainfall, bottom-dwelling aquatic organisms, and industrial waste.
I'm starting to understand. It also affects photosynthesis rate and water temperature.
And can be solved by avoiding road runoff, parking lots, and sewage treatment centers.
The next thing they tested was pH. The creek has an average pH value of 7.8, which has a Q value of 93.
This is caused by fertilizer from highland meadows, acidic rain, dissolving limestone deposits, and bedrock and soil composition of water,
which in turn can cause death of aquatic life.
pH problems can be solved by using more eco-friendly fertilizers, reducing air pollution from automobiles and industries.
The next thing they are testing is phosphates, which they got an average of 0.2 milligrams per liter with a Q value of 94.
which is caused by fertilizers, agricultural runoff, and human and animal waste.
Phosphates can cause increased BOD and can stimulate plant growth above natural rate and decrease dissolved oxygen levels.
Phosphates levels can be fixed by preventing runoff of filtration of human waste.
It looks like they tested nitrates next and had an average of 0.2 milligrams per liter with a Q value of 95.
Nitrates levels is caused by automobile and industrial emissions, animal feedlots and barnyards, runoff and decomposition of plants and animals.
This causes an increase in eutrophication, which means more algae. On top of that, there is an unpleasant odor and taste of water and reduced clarity,
which can be solved by limiting runoff, using non-phosphorus fertilizers, and keeping leaves on the ground.
The students then tested the dissolved oxygen and found an average of 10 milligrams per liter, which has a Q value of 97.
This is caused by wind photosynthesis, diffusion from atmosphere to water, erosion of rocks and debris, and too much oxygen-demanding organism.
Dissolved oxygen impacts temperature, stream flow, decaying organic matter, fish, and other aquatic organisms which can suffer or die.
It can be solved by reducing the bacteria in the water.
Another thing they are testing is the BOD of the creek. BOD stands for biologic oxygen demand, It is a number that represents how much oxygen the aquatic life in the creek use.
The BOD of the creek has an average of 2 milligrams per liter, which has a Q value of 83.
I know that bacteria uses the most oxygen in the creek because they break down human and animal waste.
Oxygen gets into the creek through decomposing organic material, which affects levels of aerobic bacterial activity.
This can be reduced by decreasing industrial and urban runoff.
The next thing they tested was the amount of bacteria in the water. The creek has 1,100 fecal chloroforms and 300 E. coli per 100 milliliters of water, making the water's Q value 21.
I know that bacteria is important to humans because it restricts what water they can drink and use for recreational activities.
Some of the causes of bacteria in water are raw sewage, agricultural sources such as cattle, and stormwater runoff.
The amount of bacteria in water can be reduced by separating gray water and black water and not put raw sewage into streams.
According to the students' results, the total solids is 1,100 milligrams per liter with a Q value of 20.
That's caused by soil erosion, runoff, industrial waste like salt on roads, organic like gasoline or oil from roads, and abundant bottom dwellers.
This impacts the health of the stream and organisms that live there. It reduces clarity of water, increases temperature levels, and the amount of sunlight able to penetrate the water.
And this can be solved by reducing runoff like waste and oil.
In the end, Miranda learned a lot that day that she was trapped in the Hester Dundee. Barry and Larry kept in touch, and she ended up finishing her journey to Lake Erie. The end.